Right, welcome to the next step, which is understanding folders. And this is going to be a short video because what you will be actually understanding is that folders is something that you should be avoiding inside Lightroom. And I'm going to be showing you the two important reasons why we don't work inside folders. But first of all, let's also try to understand what exactly do we mean when we say folders. So let's open up Lightroom. Right, so we are back to our original catalog here, and we've already seen we've got this folders section here. And like I mentioned before, this is exactly a representation of the drives that you have in your computer. So everything just remains the same. This is the F drive, the external drive where we saved. These images are actually stored. So remember, images for Lightroom course. So it's exactly mimicking what's happening in your storage, and in its literal sense, because if you were to right now do anything here, for instance, let's just say if we go to the landscape folder, remember we had these images here. So let's say I just take this image for example, and if I just hit delete, okay, let's just say maybe I did it by mistake, and Lightroom is kind of showing me this message that remove photo from Lightroom catalog, or do you just want to delete it from the disk? That means there's a connection between what we're doing in the folders and the actual location. So let's actually see this, okay? Right now, if I go to that same location in my external hard drive, we go to landscape, and I think this was under Argentina 2021, right? So this is the image that we're seeing here. So now just see this. If I go back to Lightroom, if I say delete from disk, and if I go back here, that photograph is gone. So just imagine if you were in Lightroom, because what a lot of people do is they open up the folder just like this, and maybe, I want to just get started, let's say with editing this image, and then I just start doing things and I start developing this photograph, but you have started everything from the folder, right? You didn't do anything else. And then again, just by chance, if you were to accidentally do something here, first of all, that image like we saw will be deleted. Now that won't happen because obviously you saw that big warning that comes that you just want to delete it from the catalog, or you just want to delete it from the actual storage location. In all probability, you will not click delete, right? But you never know. You never know, right? Why take the risk? Because there is going to be a better option like I'll be showing you later on. And secondly, another thing that a lot of people do when they're working with folders is that, let's say I'm editing these images. In fact, let's take our portraits example. Remember Sneha shoot? Let's say we've done this whole shoot and we're kind of going through stuff. And then when you're working with folders, what you can do is you can right click and you can kind of choose this option which says create a folder inside, so let's open this up. So this actually already opened up. So if I just right click here, okay, and you can see, so create a folder inside Sneha Shoot. And I do something like this and I say, let's say I wanted to create one folder where I'm just saving, let's say, a few of the best images. Okay, this process is called as culling, where you're kind of selecting your rough pics where you feel, at least these were good compared to all the pictures in the shoot, right? So we're going to be seeing that whole process, how it's done properly from the next video onwards or in the future videos when we learn about collections. Right now, just giving you an example. So let's say I say, rough selects, and I just create this folder. And then again, if I was to go over here, if I go to portraits and I go to Sneha shoot, and you're going to actually see this folder come. So again, what happens is whatever then you're doing, it starts to even mess up everything on your actual disk. Whereas we can actually, as you're going to learn later on with collections, we can actually do this in a much better way with collections. We can create as many subfolders like this, but they won't reflect in the actual location. So you won't, even if we create folders like this, it'll only be inside Lightroom and it actually won't show up anywhere here. So our organization, it just stays very organized. Our photos, exactly, they don't move around anywhere. Plus we don't accidentally delete them. So that is the number one reason that we don't want to use folders, because they're directly tied up with our actual location, okay? Secondly, a lot of people these days, they want to use, suppose you're editing a particular photograph, okay? And then you suddenly want to shift over to, let's say, Lightroom Mobile, right, on your smartphone. Then if you want to access we'll be seeing with collections when we create different subfolders like rough selects, final picks, something like that. But you will be creating a lot of collections, okay? Collections are something that actually get reflected in Lightroom Mobile. But folders, like if you were to create any additional subset folders, they are not reflected in Lightroom Mobile. So basically, they don't sync with the Lightroom Mobile application, which is a good chance that you will be using since Adobe is investing a lot into the Lightroom Mobile app, okay? So these are the 2 points. One is the syncing with the Lightroom mobile app, and secondly, you don't affect your main storage location. This is why we don't work in folders. This is a mistake that a lot of beginners make. I used to work with folders for a very long time till I myself learned about collections. So here's the important thing. From the next video onwards, we'll actually see how to do this process of creating these new folders and doing everything in a much better way, in a much non-destructive way by using collections. So I'll see you there. All right, welcome back to the next step. This is step number 7, very important. This is understanding and using collections. Now remember, in the last step, I just wrote understanding folders. So you know why I didn't use the word using, because we will not be using the folders. However, we will be using collections. These two can appear to be very similar. So right now we will go into Lightroom and I will demonstrate the usage of collections. Also, I'll just kind of tell you a funny way to remember the distinction between folders and collections. But right now, let's head into Lightroom. All right, so before we really go into collections, just want to give you a small demo, which is similar to what we did with folders. Okay, so we've got our folders here, and underneath that, we have collections. Okay, and can you see just from the name itself, they kind of mean the same thing. Folder usually keeps something. Collections means it's something is storing something, right? So for instance, you can see here, I've got my own collections, which usually I'm not very organized with. Just for this course, I've actually put them in something called as a collection set. Okay, but inside that, all my collections are there. Just to be organized for this course, I've put them inside even one more collection. You can do that. You can create this hierarchy also so that we don't lose out space, because we'll be creating our own collections in this particular space, okay, from these images that we have been using inside this course. So let's take a similar example. Literally doesn't matter. Okay, let's just say there's something, or out of all these photos, we notice something which we would probably like to keep, you know, in a place of its own, like something which is common. So maybe we can say animals. Okay, so let's say in the folders, they might have been in different subcategories, like according to the zoo or the date you visit, something like that. But right now, we are just kind of creating a collection of animals. So now this is going to be a bit different from the folder hierarchy we've got, because animals just means animals, no matter which trip or when we went to, okay? So that's actually one more difference you're going to learn about collections, which I didn't mention in the last video, that it's got to do something with not running the risk of creating duplicates whenever you create such subcategories, okay? But right now it'll be tough to understand that. Right now, just keep your focus on this example that I'm giving you. So we just want to, out of all these photos that we've got, we are just creating a collection of animals, okay? So let's say I do this. This is animal, yes. I think these 6 are animals, right? So I can select the first one, and then I can just hold down Shift and directly click on the last one. So it'll actually select all, okay? So I'm holding down Shift, and then you can see that it's just highlighted. You can also click one by one, but that takes more time. So you can see we got these 6 photos, and in order to form a collection, all we need to do is just go to collections here, just type in plus, create a collection, and let's just call this animals, okay? We can also put this inside a collection set, like I've done. For this course, I've put all my collections inside this, you know, even a higher set of collections called Collections by Kush. We'll see that later, because we will be seeing a proper example later on in the coming videos of how to actually use collections, okay? I'm just giving you a sample right now. So that's it. We just don't do anything else, okay? Yeah, include selected photos, yes. Name animals, very simple. So we're just gonna hit create, and that's it. You get animals with 6 images. Now here's the best part. It does look like these kind of folders here, right? Not the same icon, but it kind of looks something similar, that inside it is showing the photos and this, but see the difference this time. Let's say, so right now I'm definitely within the selection. let's say I take this tiger photo and I hit delete. Remember something similar to what we did with the landscape photograph? But just see, if I hit delete, it's just deleted. You didn't get that window which kind of warned you that, listen, there's a risk of deleting it from the disk itself. Okay. Also, let's just verify this. So if you go back to our external drive, remember this has to be in the wildlife folder. And you can see here, this is under trip 1. Well, this is very much there. It didn't get deleted. So straight away, the number one thing you have to just remember is whatever you do in collections has no relationship with the external disk, which was not the case, or whichever your storage location is, which was not the case when it came to folders. Folders will directly impact that. So remember I told you kind of just to remember this in a funny way. Just think of folders and collections like this, that let's just say, it's going to sound funny, but let's say you've got 2 sets of parents, okay? And you live in these 2 houses. One is the folders house, one is the collections house. So you've got parents here. And okay, let's just say maybe you got your grandparents here. I think that sounds better, okay? Not 2 sets of parents. So let's just say, whenever you're in your folders house, okay, let's say you're a naughty kid. And whenever you're in your folders house, a lot of people, because they do like to work in folders, a lot of people make that mistake. Even experienced Lightroom users. So people definitely do it. But let's say whenever you're in this house, if you do decide to work, which you should not, it's like you're in a very strict house. Anytime you do something, your parents are just going to be after your life. Listen, just be very careful of what you do. If you delete this, it gets deleted there. If you move something, if you create a subcategory, it gets created there. It messes everything up. So naughty kid, don't do this. Okay, just be very careful whenever you do something. That's what's happening in the folders house. Okay, but in the collections house, when you're with your grandparents, you can be as naughty as you want. You can do whatever you want with the collections, accidentally delete them. You can literally create unlimited subcategories like this. It will not impact anything on your storage location. Nothing changes there. The structure doesn't change. If you delete something, nothing changes, and you're free to do whatever you want. This is one of the best reasons to use collections. And like I said before, this also will directly, whatever collections you create here will reflect and sync in your Lightroom mobile app. Also, one more advantage, which I purposely didn't talk about in the last video when we were discussing folders, because now you will understand after you've seen how collections work, is that with collections, there is no problem of creating duplicate images. Okay, so let's just take this very example. I can do this in folders also, right? What I just did, I can actually do this in folders also by going to my main folder, maybe let's say going to wildlife, and then here inside I can create a new folder. You can see create new folder inside wildlife, and I can again name it animals, and let's say in that folder I just want to have these animal images. But remember, these images are also in these folders, right? Trip 1, Trip 2, Trip 3. And now I'm creating one more folder, which is for all the animals. So don't you think inside this main folder now, you're creating duplicate images unnecessarily? And remember, since you're doing this on the folders tab, this will also reflect right here. So when you go to wildlife, then there will be a folder with, again, these images in that folder. Now, what is that going to do? Unnecessarily is going to, first of all, ruin your organization structure. It's going to make it confusing. But more importantly, if you keep doing this forever, your space is going to get eaten away from the hard drive, right? And then you might have to buy another hard drive unnecessarily because you were storing all those duplicates. Whereas, because collections don't impact the main location, you can have unlimited number of collections in as many subcategories as you want. So you can literally have a collection which says not just animals, you can just say animals in which I can see backlit fur like this, like we can see in this squirrel. And then whenever you've taken any image, not just in this trip, anytime in your lifetime, if you've taken a shot in which you felt, yeah, you know what, this belongs to that collection, that can go into that collection, right? So collections make it very flexible and clean. Okay, your whole organization very, very clean. If you're still not understanding collections, don't worry, it happens to all beginners. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a proper example, remember, of that shoot that we did, the Sneha shoot, and we're going to see how to use collections in order to really, really make a nice editing workflow with that shoot. Okay, so I'm going to see you in that video. Bye for now.